Matt, count me
Hey,
down.
good morning, everybody. We're on WBVP-WMBA radio in Beaver Falls, PA.
Are we 30 seconds out yet?
About a minute.
Okay.
We need a clock.
Well, there's a clock there, but it's
No, I
not
know
right.
you need one of those countdown clocks. 10, 9, 8.
Do like a little comic club with a little light back.
I thought that meant like the priest was in
Actually,
like,
having Lane Point.
Okay, cool.
If you give me like 30 seconds and then a 10 and then that would be probably
Eddie,
good.
what is it with the AKG headphones? I mean, aren't you a cost man?
Well, I've got costs at home. The ones that are hanging in your window, I've got the exact same ones.
And there's another pair there. Did you notice that?
Yep.
We're about ready to go, folks. We'll be here live in a moment.
Well, we're live now.
We're live. Yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
are live, Eddie.
Right.
Let's say hi, Eddie.
Yeah, it's I'm not going to reanimate in 40 seconds.
there's Eddie Crow,
We're live
yeah.
now. We're just lining up with the radio side of
Light
it.
it up with the radio.
You got a lot of notes. I'm telling you now. I'm going to contribute nothing to this. I see you've got plenty of notes.
Well, that's only the notes I wrote down. It's the connected notes that are in my brain.
Those are the ones. Yeah,
Well, I think I'm gonna get sidetracked today a lot because of
that's all right.
stuff.
Yo,
Hey, there you are, Eddie. You're on.
Here we are.
We're on. He says we're on.
We're
So-
going, and we're going in about 15 different places. It's Teleforum. My name's Eddie Crow. Tom is with me. Tom Young of First Consultants, and you're live streaming this. We're live streaming this. It's being carved into rocks and shipped to archaeologists all over the world.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about whatever you wrote down. That's the first thing I told you. I look up, here comes Tom with his notes. That's like, I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to sit here and learn. So, what are we talking about?
It's just, what are we talking about today? Well, I have the book of the month is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I've noticed
Now, you
you-
noticed my book.
It's a little
I
dog-eared,
have
yeah.
worked on this book.
It's a little dog-eared.
So as we do every month, we cover a book. Next
Right.
month is going to be The Road Less Traveled
Okay.
by Robert Frost.
I think I
Did
was
you
forced-
travel the road? Did you go on the road less traveled, Eddie?
For several years, yeah.
several
yeah.
years.
Dirt roads don't always come back to pavement.
No, they don't. No,
No.
they don't. Hey, folks, I'm Tom Young, and I'm here today on the radio show WBVP-WMBA. I'm the financial coach. I'm an author, public professional speaker. I've authored several books. The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project is the newest. Life Insurance Will It Pay When I Die has been published in second edition. Jumpstart Your Financial Freedom, an ebook, and another ebook called Financial Mastery Blueprint. I own First Consultants in Beaver, and I've been at this financial service business for 45 years now. And I've really come to some really big conclusions, Eddie,
Okay.
that why so many people just don't get ahead in life. They get stuck. And they get stuck because the financial world sticks them.
It's not a lack of effort on their part.
Not really. No,
Okay.
but you know what happens is after a while, people just seem when they get stuck, they get more stuck, and then they reach a point where what's the use?
It's hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And remember, folks, if you share the show today, send me an email, send me a contact on the Facebook, and I will send you an autographed copy of my new book, The Family Money Farm, the CFO Project. You can also go to cfo-project.com. That's cfo-project.com. And you can put in your name and email address, and you'll get instantly a link that gives you a cover-to-cover download of my new book, etc. Well, if we talk about what's going on in the world today, before we get into the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen Covey, and I've read this book several times, and it just gets in your head. Why do I promote? Why does Tom promote personal growth material? Because personal growth is not optional, folks. You either decide to grow you or the world will grow you into what they want you to be. They will use you and render you as an acceptable level of mediocrity. And,
So-
and that, unfortunately, is where so many people end up in the treadmill, the little wheel, the
hamster
gerbil wheel,
wheel,
you know,
right.
the hamster wheel is where they end up. So if you step back and look at the 30,000-foot view, when I look at what's going on in Washington, D.C., and this is not political, folks, I'm going to talk about the usdebtclock.org. You can go there, you can see it. It is the most unique thing ever created, and so few people pay any attention to it whatsoever. And what the usdebtclock.org is, it is a monitor created by the CBO of the federal government, the Congressional Budget Office,
Yeah.
and they monitor the money that moves. In other words, by the second, I mean, when you bring this thing up on your computer, I mean, the money just constantly moves. And what it really does is it shows the movements of money inside the federal government. And we are just now approaching $30 trillion in debt on what I refer to as the big credit card. You know,
Right.
we are all responsible because the revenue of the government comes from you and I, Eddie.
Yes.
You understand that, right?
I'm doing my taxes right now. Yes.
You know, it's that time of year. I think we just passed April 15th.
Right.
But we got a break this year. I think it goes to May 17th
May
or something.
19th maybe.
Whatever. But everybody got a break this year. But that $30 trillion is almost $90,000 per person.
Okay. I'm out.
$224,000 per taxpayer. Now, I don't know about you folks, but how would you like to? You get another mortgage. There it is, $224,000 per taxpayer, and nobody's making any payments. If you have debt, folks, and nobody's making any payments, and they're continuing to borrow more on a daily basis, what do you think the outcome's going to be, folks? Let's just dwell on that a minute, Eddie. And here it
those
is.
numbers-
Going forward, they collected 3.4 trillion
Right.
last 12 months. They spent almost 8 trillion.
Those numbers are right now, and that number of debt is constantly rolling up. So it's not getting smaller.
It never and the unfunded liability, which if you look at the screen, the debt that I'm talking about is in the upper left-hand corner. Now we'll go down to the lower right-hand corner, and there's a number down there called the unfunded liability. That is Social Security, Medicare, Part A, B, and D, and pensions for government and military. And the irony of that is, if you think about it, which one of those can we not pay, Eddie? I think the military have guns, right? You know, and we joke, we talk about the coup on January 6th. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that. You know, the thing
Say
that
what you
happened
want.
on January
Coup,
6th.
insurrection.
Insurrection, whatever they want to call
Bag
it.
of cats.
That was nothing. You want to see insurrection, go to some of the big cities in the country and see what's going on in some of the big cities where they got razor wire around the courthouses and on and on and on. You wait. It's coming because America is in trouble. And we have politicians that are not accountable, and we cannot hold them accountable because of the system that we have. I don't want to change the system, don't get me wrong. We have the greatest system in the world. But it's time for us. It's time for the people to stand up and make a difference. We make a difference at the voting machine. Mm-hmm. We make a difference by the people we talk to. We make a difference by getting educated. And that's what I'm trying to share here, some real verifiable education. It's real, folks. It's there. Now, the unfunded liability I was talking about.
Lower right corner.
Lower right corner.
Okay.
I've been following this for several years. In January of 2017, that number crossed over 100 trillion. $100 trillion.
Did we have a parade?
It was 101. I don't know if they did or not.
If you spent that much, what's
maybe
a
the
little
deep
more?
state did, or the world banking system, the Rothschilds in Europe, they're probably celebrating
Okay.
because they're going to own America soon, if not already,
Okay.
in what's going on. But again, 101 trillion in January of 17. That number is now approaching 160 trillion plus. So in 4 years,
4 years, 60% of what took all of eternity previous.
absolutely. Now, here's the numbers, folks. per citizen is $450,000. Per taxpayer, it is now well over $1 million. Did you hear me, folks? Per taxpayer, it's over $1 million. So if we got that over $1 million and the 224, we're approaching 1.5 million per taxpayer. I don't know, folks. I believe I have some intelligence, Eddie.
Yeah.
What do you equate to what I'm talking about? I'm sorry, I get fired up because I'm concerned about America. I have a daughter, a son-in-law, and I have two little grandboys, one 4 and one 6.
Right.
And Pap Tom is going to make sure that they got some kind of future when the time comes, some way, shape, or form.
And it's not unattainable to plan a future in amongst what you're describing you see in the future. We're going to talk about education.
We're going to talk about that.
All right.
And I guess it's time for a break. Are we going to take a break?
Take a break.
Let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment, folks.
Teleforum with Tom Young on Beaver County Radio.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Don't worry.
All right. How long till we come back?
2 minutes.
All right. I'm not stopping you. When you get wound up, you're way more
Oh,
interesting than I am.
Oh, well, we're going to go from here to the Financial Mastery Blueprint. So this is all setting up to why what I teach people is the only possible chance you have of survival of what's coming.
Mm-hmm. For this bottom of the hour break.
Hey, folks,
needs to be closed.
See, we're here now. We're taking a break, and we're paying for the show, I guess, advertisements. I pay for the show.
Get close
Other
to it.
people have advertisements here and pay for the show. So if we look at that, I hope you share today. This is so important to share to other people. It has to be known. It has to be known. People cannot sit back and just expect the government to continue to borrow from the central banking system that prints money from nothing and then loans it out in this fractional banking system that we have in America. So we have got to somehow get back to a gold standard. And I guess Bitcoin, amazing. I didn't have any understanding of that when it first came out. But to watch that and now see Bitcoin go through the roof and have a value of more than $60,000 per coin. Now, how do you get it? They talk about mining coins and all kinds of stuff, but I don't know how that all works.
We're coming back here in a couple seconds.
All right, well, we're coming back.
You don't have to stop talking.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. I'll wait. We're good.
I love this, Eddie.
They pay.
What?
AM 1230 WBVP and AM 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right, Tom?
Yes, it is. Third Tuesday, Eddie.
Third Tuesday.
Third
that's right.
Tuesday.
Third Tuesday of the month.
Third
Tom Young
Tuesday.
of First Consultants is always my guest. Good to see you again. Educate me. You were explaining all the mess that we're in right now with the debt clock. I owe somebody apparently over $1 million.
$1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
Yeah, but after you get past $1 million? What's a few $100,000 here?
I equate it. If you ever had $150,000 mortgage, now at the current interest rates, what would the monthly principal and interest be on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage? $150,000.
It was under $1,000.
Under $1,000.
I remember being happy about that.
It would be somewhere between $800 and $900 a month
that
right now,
right.
Based on the interest rates. Could be a little bit more, a little bit less. So let's take that and take it times 10, folks. Your mortgage payment on the $1.5 million.
You always drag math into
Is
this.
$8,000 to $9,000 per month.
Oof.
And guess what, Eddie? Nobody's making any payments.
No.
Nobody's making any payments. The government, the last couple of years now, excluding the pandemic, the current debt that blowed up to over $6 trillion, $7 trillion,
right.
was blowed up a couple $1 trillion because of the pandemic and the money the government put out to help heal the economy in some ways. And even right now, the economy is starting to boom, and I shudder at the government wanting to spend trillions more. This idiot in Washington, and I will call him an idiot, Joe Biden.
I was going to say, be specific.
I'm going to be specific.
Okay.
Joe Biden, the idiot in Washington, doesn't know his butt from a hole in. Oops, can I say that? A butt from a hole in the ground, you know, and it is.
You notice I'm just sitting over here drinking my
just
coffee,
sit there
right?
because it's coming out. I am fed up right to my hairline, which is receding back. My brother's bald on top, but I was the lucky one on
Did he
the three.
pay attention
I
to
got
politics
to keep,
right before the baldness came
I got
on
to
with
keep
him?
most of my hair. It's getting thinner, but I still have most of my hair. Folks, it is time to stand up and make it known to politicians that we are not happy with what they are doing in Washington, D.C.
How do you do that?
Write your congressman. Write them. There was a time. Let me go back and just give you an example. In 1986, there was a tax law that attacked 7702 of the Revenue Code. Now, Tom, what 7702 of the Revenue Code?
Yeah.
That's the part of the Revenue Code that defines life insurance.
Okay.
Because life insurance has special treatment in the tax code. If I have whole life insurance with cash value, and I manage it properly, and I design the policy properly with a dividend-paying mutual life insurance company, the money I put in there, the government never gets to see it again, not while I'm alive or when I die.
Okay.
And then I can also leverage that money
Which is
with
what
the
banks
insurance
do.
company.
Right.
Okay, I can leverage that money to pay for my kids' college and on and on and on. Here's an example. 529 plan. Anybody that has kids, they understand a 529 plan. It's a place that you save money after tax to pay for college when the kids go to college.
Yeah.
So
They put it aside. I
they
remember.
put it aside.
I remember that.
That's right. It's after tax. It's not tax deductible.
Right.
However, if you pay for eligible college expenses, it's going to come out tax free. Okay.
Okay.
Comes out tax free.
Wish I'd have known that.
But the kicker is, Eddie, what if? Now you cannot put it back and use it again for yourself in retirement. But what if you could create a plan that you could put money away after tax, it grew tax deferred, you could access it tax free to pay for college, and then put it back and use it again yourself tax free later?
I would be doing the same thing leverage-wise for myself that banks do for themselves.
Wow,
every day.
isn't it interesting? So there's so much of this that the government had to attack in '86 and change the tax code. So what they did, they put a definition of life insurance in the tax code. But I remember as an agent at that time, we had like a dozen semi-trailer trucks deliver mail bags to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I think they got our message. We buried the Capitol building in mail from all the constituents all over the country.
Like
and I
Sand-
think, and,
like
I, and I'm
for-
looking at my watch, and,
Yeah.
and we are coming up on news time, and I'm sure we got to do news. Are we at the news yet, or where we at, guys?
We got 2 more
3 minutes? Oh, okay. Well,
I'm staying out of here. Did it work? I'm picturing. Is it Miracle on 42nd Street where they bury the court? They
they did.
Santa
Yeah, they
Claus
did.
mail?
So
Did it work?
we have a voice, but it takes a real effort to make that voice heard.
That's where the education starts. People aren't going to speak up if they don't know.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
I want you to get angry, folks. If you're not getting angry over what I'm sharing with you today, then you're already over the hill. So we're down to 2 minutes to news. So we're going to come back after the news, and I'm going to get into the Summit to Success that's going to happen in a few weeks. We'll talk about that. We're
You
going
got
to
more
talk
stuff-
about
Do
the
you have more stuff that's
Financial Mastery Blueprint.
looking forward to opening up because the COVID's opening up? Are you planning for that future too? real quick?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. I mean, I walked in the door and I asked Mark if I could not wear a mask today. We're here, and
Today is my
we're
day.
3 feet. The CDC said 3 feet is the new distance, Eddie.
Today is my day. I am officially 100%.
Well,
Today's
so am
2
I.
weeks.
I had both my shots, and it's been like 20 days. So
Yeah.
I'm
All right.
good. You're good.
That means we can run naked down 7th Avenue, sneezing on everything
oh,
later.
absolutely.
All
Eddie.
right.
Absolutely.
That'll be a
Absolutely.
different video. Tom Young is my guest from First Consultants. It's time for news with Frank Sparks. It's AM 1230. I'm visualizing that, and I apologize for saying that out loud. Frank with news on Beaver County Radio.
Clear.
I had totally forgotten. Today is my 2 week, like you're officially 100% thing.
Well, that was this Saturday be 3 weeks. So
Matt, when is yours? I think yours is a week from today, isn't it?
from today.
You were a week behind me. Did you see the Bethel Park story? A lady in Bethel Park got one of the shots and woke up in the middle of the night and was paralyzed.
Oh,
Like, I think Channel 11 had it. She's been to Cleveland Clinic. The feeling's starting to come back some.
well, it's funny you say that because I had my first shot and there was no reaction other than a sore right where
Where you
the
got
needle
poked.
was, which same as flu or whatever, you know.
Is that too loud or you want this down?
I didn't notice it, so it must not be too loud.
Okay.
I actually think I don't even think it was a monitor. I think it was a radio behind it. So I told,
Okay. Well, no, I just you can hear pretty good.
So
out here,
folks,
that's why I just asked.
they're running the news on the radio station, so we got a couple minutes of
Did I
break
hear
here
correctly that he
before we come back.
said
You need to share the show. You need to share this information, folks, and really what we're talking about. This is so important to grasp and understand what's going on, because we're in an end game. That there is no good ending to this story as it is right now without our intervention. How can that happen? Well, there's a thing going on called the Convention of States. The only way that we can take control of the federal government and impose some new rules and restrictions on the federal government is through the Convention of States. You know, the states, enough of them get together and they have a big convention and they can change the way the federal government operates. So anytime you see any kind of request to support the Convention of States, you want to do that. It is again so important to make sure that we do that.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Eddie's up walking around, stretching his muscles and his bones,
Muscles.
and muscles and
Hey.
bones. Well, I'm going to do a 360, folks. You get to see what I'm looking at in here. This is the studio at the radio station, and there's my buddy Frank. Here he is.
That's management.
That's Lane.
Lane.
There's Lane, and I can't see.
Matt's around the corner.
Matt's around the corner, so
Wave, Matt.
he's over hiding around the corner. Hi, Matt. Hi, Matt. There he is.
That's his normal problem. He's always around the corner.
So we share that everybody, and there's Eddie, my buddy.
Eddie's always out back.
All right, we're gonna count down. How much time till we come back? Should be probably a minute and a half.
About 8, 9 minutes or so.
Dude, that
How
much?
come you're not doing reading the news, Frank?
I am.
He taped it.
Oh,
It's all part. This once we come over here, it's all through that computer for an hour.
Yeah.
So the news is taped. Everything's all taped. There's no.
Way
boy, we're getting
logistically.
we're getting high. We're getting into high cotton here at WBVP-WMBA.
Cotton.
High
Give away
cotton.
my
And,
secrets, telling everybody that's following you that we're recording the news now. Jeez.
Well, but we're
is,
recording
is
it
that
like,
is that the fake news, Frank?
Yes.
Is that the fake news?
Yeah, that's the news about Biden not knowing
portions of this broadcast. But it's only tape delayed by like 7 minutes. That's not like when I listen to a clear channel station and I hear, Saturday's weather and it's
Well,
a
the radio
Tuesday.
station's not on, folks, but I'll mention when I come on. You want to tune in to an internet site called Frank Speaks, and this is not Frank. It's Frank speaking. Frank, speaking frankly. FrankSpeaks.com. You want to tune into that today, and you want to listen to what's going on over there. This is the information that everybody has to hear. Everybody has to hear.
I tell my wife that all the time. She just doesn't listen.
Have you heard of Frank? Have
She
you
clearly doesn't
you heard of
subscribe.
Frank's speech.com?
No.
Oh, it's Mike Lindell.
Oh, Pillow Dude.
It's the absolute word by word, page by page, complete.
20 seconds out.
Oh, we're coming back.
Yeah.
Coming back.
And then at 10 to 10, 9, 8. Unless you're European, then it'd be that.
Yeah.
AM 1230 WBVP, AM 1460 WMBA. It's radio, but I still feel the need to sit up because it's also live broadcast. And clearly, one of my cats got to this shirt before I did this morning. Tom Young is my
I thought
guest.
that was your chest hair coming out. In
Oh,
the
no,
shirt.
no,
What?
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Oh, okay.
As slick as a baby's
Okay.
bottom. Thanks for asking. Tom Young from First Consultants is my guest, and we're talking about financial freedom, but we're talking about education,
Absolutely.
and it all ties together. And then you got wound up before, and if you want to jump back in where that was, you go right ahead.
It is crazy, ludicrous.
You're not a fan of
And-
Washington right now.
No, and you know, and I'm live on Facebook, so I don't know. They might block the show because of what I already said. So
Nah, nah.
I don't know.
It's not censorship. It's violation of terms and conditions.
Oh, violation of terms
That's
and
right,
conditions.
yeah.
What are the terms and conditions?
Whatever you click at the bottom of to agree to use it.
Okay.
Those
okay.
30,
okay.
40, 50 pages of tiny little script, you're supposed to scroll through it. That's what that is.
We're talking about this crazy debt that the government has created. They continue to spend money unthinkingly.
I
That
owe
there is no
1.2.
budget, there is no plan, there is no control. I don't know about you folks, but you know, I like to make things simple. I was talking a minute ago about $150,000 mortgage being $900 a month payment.
Yeah.
And at $1.5 million, 30-year fixed rate mortgage, take it times 10. So you're on the hook for $8,000 to $9,000 a month.
Just
and a
under,
30
just
and a
under
thir-
10 grand a month.
if Eddie, they stop spending money.
And that's if the
If
number
they
stops
stop
right now.
spending money.
Well, I
And-
break it down to make it simple: $2,500 a week for that
in
mortgage.
4 years, they've
Now,
added $60 trillion. It increased 60% in 4 years.
That's pretty good work.
So what's 60% in 4 more years? Because there's no signs that it's going to slow down. Do you understand, Eddie,
Can we
and
get-
listeners, the exponential curve? Do you know what an exponent? In other
Yep.
words, that's the compounding of money, and it has this rocket end over here.
Yeah, when it goes
It-
up,
it-
it's
it-
1, 2, 4, 16, 64.
That is what's happening to the debt and the unfunded liability.
Well,
Now,
what
there's-
happens? Do we get to a point where everybody just says, "Okay, ain't nobody got the money to pay anybody"? Now what?
Be creative, Eddie. How do you think it's going to go down? Because
I'm
all that really
picturing-
does, the more money they print,
Right.
the Federal Reserve, which is not federal in any way, shape, or form, they are all privately owned institutions, and they are all connected, in Tom's opinion, my opinion, to the Rothschilds in London.
Okay.
And in London, there
They-
is another London inside London. If you don't believe me, go to you can Google it. There's a film out there, the 3 cities of the world that control the world:
And this is
D.C., London, and the Vatican. So and that's actually a video that's on Facebook. So
So it
it's
must be
already
at least okay.
It must be okay because it's already out there and doing that. So,
Okay, this is World Bank reset stuff, isn't it?
absolutely, and that's what they're talking about. Bill Gates. I read an article, something he bought hundreds and hundreds of thousand acres of land out somewhere out in the West, Midwest, whatever, for a farm to grow the food that they're going to feed us. This makes me think of the movie Soylent Green. You remember you remember the movie Soylent Green?
The scoops are coming.
You got to be chronologically gifted, folks, in order to know the movie Soylent Green.
No, you have to go because my daughter knows all of those movies. She's in her early 20s because of that same internet. All that information, all those dystopian futurist crap movies.
Yeah.
Soylent Green, Silent Running, Logan's Run.
Yeah.
What was the one? Silent Running. Bruce Dern is in charge of taking care of the plants, and they shoot him and plants out into space. That information's still there, and that's where you think we're headed.
Here's the scariest part of that, Eddie. And I talk about this all the time. The magic of the creative mind.
Right?
Okay? We all, whether you use it a lot or not, we all have a creative mind. And when you think of everything that exists, the computer, what we're doing here, the technology that's hooked up in this room,
Right.
and everything going on, this was all a thought in somebody's mind at one time.
Somebody had to come up with
Somebody had to think it up.
Right.
They thought about it before it was created. So everything that exists, except what God created naturally, original, God provided all of the resources to solve all the problems of the world. When you were born, Eddie, a problem was solved.
and a crap load were created.
It's just that simple, and so this creative mind we all have, everything comes from the creative mind. Now you think of all these movies, and I remember as a kid, remember Buck Rogers? And you could watch it on TV, and you'd watch the rocket, and you could see the little silver
strings,
wires
yeah.
that were hanging this rocket spaceship, on the screen. It was a hoot, and you didn't want to see the wires. It would just, when you were a kid, that was what you watched.
Right.
But all of that stuff came true, Eddie.
There are people that firmly believe everything happening has happened before. And it's kind of what it sounds like. Everything you're talking about, if those movies exist, if you want to talk about there was a stretch in the 70s, the world's going to end, and then there's going to be one weird guy out in the desert with his cat, and it's Circle of Iron, all the Planet of the Apes stuff, right?
Yep.
The theory is that's already happened once. That's how that idea came into the person's head. To make it happen again.
Sure did.
You believe that?
It goes back, and I've told this story, and I'll tell it again. In 1968, a group of people got together and formed the Club of Rome. You can Google it. It's real. The Club of Rome, it's a think tank of the so-called smartest people in the world. And they got together in 1968, and their mission statement, their purpose, was to look at all the resources of the world and try to predict where the problems were going to come from.
Was this done quietly, or was this done with
quietly.
public knowledge?
No,
Okay.
it was quietly,
All right.
but it's there. And they exist today. They have 150 members.
Okay.
One of the members at that time was Stephen Hawkins, the astrophysicist from Europe, that they said at one time he was the smartest man on the planet.
Right. Steve, yeah.
Steve Hawkins. So he has passed away, but in 1968, this group predicted that the world would be out of oil. Crude oil would be all gone and used up by 1993. That was their prediction.
Okay.
Now,
There's
I'm not
a lot
going to go into all that, but there was a book called The Great Reckoning in 1993 by a guy named Rees-Mogg and Thurman, and they're from England, economists, and they wrote a book on what it would be like as this happened. It was a big, thick book. Okay. However, in the world at that time, it was believed that 85% of all the crude oil in the world was under the sands of Saudi Arabia at that time.
Right.
So Saudi Arabia got this idea from a guy in South America that knew the Texas Railroad Commission. Now, Tom, Texas Railroad Commission?
Yeah.
What's that? Well, that's the group in Texas that monitors all the minerals and oil and gas and everything in America. And so they got the idea over there, and they created a group. What were they called? OPEC. That 1969. There they are, new group, and they're going to be like the Texas Railroad Commission, only tougher.
Only tougher and with more oil.
Oil in 1969 was $1.23 for a barrel of crude. 3 years later, it was $12. Isn't that 1,000% increase? Was that a good rate of return on your crude?
OPEC did a good job.
OPEC did a good job.
Yeah.
1,000% increase 3 years. Well, we were on a gold standard, and our dollar bill said payable to the bearer on demand, gold and silver.
Right.
And it was believed that they were going to say, we don't want your crappy paper anymore.
Yeah, we'll
we
just
want the
take that.
gold and silver.
Yeah.
So Nixon was forced to take us off the gold standard.
Okay.
Now, there was another movie, okay, Chris Christopherson and Jane Fonda, called Rollover. It was the name of the movie. It was a little obscure B movie called Rollover, and it was about Christopherson was a world banker in New York.
All right.
And it was about this jumbo CD that the Arabs had that it was coming up for renew, and were the Arabs going to renew it, or did they want paid in gold and silver?
and there was
And
a
so the whole movie
panic
was
of,
around this thing that could happen.
if they want the gold and silver, what are we going to do?
And so it was an interesting movie, but it was about what we're sitting here talking about today. That's what that movie was about. Now I won't tell you the end of the movie. Go find it and watch it. It was a great movie. I don't necessarily like Jane Fonda. I'm not promoting Jane Fonda, folks. That you know what I mean. But it was a movie, and
I
she
don't
was in
like
it.
Jane Fonda. Chris Christopherson's brilliant
Oh,
in a lot of different
Was a good guy.
venues. Musician, singer, songwriter. Do you think that that's going to happen? We're all going to be so in debt they have to say, let's reset everything.
that's what's coming, Eddie. Well, that's what Bitcoin's about. And these cryptocurrencies.
Explain that to me because
because
it sounds made up. And somebody says one Bitcoin's now worth several $1,000s. Like,
$60,000.
is that what one
Bitcoin? It was $60-some thousand the other day.
Is Bitcoin? It's not a real thing. It's virtual.
It
just
is a
exists
virtual thing created
in a
by the
computer.
computer, but the way I understand it, it is finite. In other words, it cannot be changed. It's finite. So it's the same way with gold and silver. I believe as this thing unfolds in the next few years or decade, I don't know when it's going to happen, Eddie. But
Okay.
we're on a bullet train, and the bullet train is being accelerated. The speed is increasing right now
Okay.
by the idiots in Washington.
Okay.
That they don't care about us. They only care about their eliteness and their own future and the one world order, I call it. The one world government. This has been there for a long time. You know, Trump spoke in Davos
Yeah.
back in his first year as the president.
Right.
Now, what was Davos to me? That was a meeting to all the leaders of the world.
That was an excuse to go to Switzerland and eat chocolate.
Whatever. But he spoke at that meeting, and that was when he said he was going to make America the great country again that it always was. And so in that, as we now know, looking back,
Right.
did that not turn the world against Trump, and they tried to stop him and end his reign in every way, shape, and form, no matter how fraudulent and coercive it was. But look what he accomplished.
Wait. I just all the abuse and all the hassles that Trump took for his last 4 years, you trace that back to what he said at Davos.
I believe that.
Okay.
Tom's opinion.
I'm
Tom's opinion, because
Okay.
the whole.
And that was the signal to
There was a
this
lot of
world
people
government.
in the world that want this one world government,
Right.
included Bill Gates and Soros and all these people. They want to control the world. And right now, Tom's opinion, they're simply trying to turn America into a socialistic conglomerate where we will limp willingly to the new world government for them to save our butt because there is so much debt. There is purpose to all this, folks. I don't know. Maybe I'm a senile old man, but I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Rollerball.
Rollerball, another
Remember
one. Well,
that
that's
one?
going to be the new wars of the future.
What you're talking about is exactly the plot of every country was a mess and the planet was run by corporations and people were kept busy by rooting for their favorite corporate rollerball team.
Absolutely.
With James Caan and John Houseman.
Absolutely.
I don't know my zip code, but you caused that detail of that movie to pop into my head.
You look at Alinsky, this Saul Alinsky guy.
Alinsky,
He
yeah.
has 10 things, and it's been on the internet. I've read them. We are in every one of those 10 things right now in collapsing, trying to collapse and socialize America. Now, I've talked in the past. Let me bring this up. The Fabian Society.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I, for the life of me, I was in the Air Force. My brothers were in the military. My dad, my uncle. I mean, all the men in our family was in the military at one time or another. And I, for the life of me, I cringe when I see these young people coming out of college protesting America. You know, it just hurts. It's like a knife in my heart.
Why do you read that as protesting America
Well,
rather than protesting the specific
they have been
whatever?
programming. They have been programmed for decades.
Who?
The children. The
Okay.
children. It's from the Fabian side. You don't believe me, folks? Do some research. Do your own research. It's called the Fabian Society. This Fabian Society started back in 1880s, 1890s. Two guys in Europe, they created this Fabian Society, and their belief and their role was to socialize the world. They wanted socialism in the world all over, everywhere. So it came to America, and in the 30s, guy named Orson Welles. Remember Orson Welles?
I remember
And what was his movie? The Mars Attacks, or whatever was the name of the movie.
It was. It's at the War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds. That was
on
it.
Halloween night, and the world went crazy.
Oh yeah,
and
because they thought it was real.
and you talking about Americans really not grasping it. There was a disclaimer at the front and in the middle
Yes.
of that said, "Okay, this is a
It's only a
this is a
movie.
play.
Right.
This is a radio."
Well, Orson
play.
Welles
yeah.
was involved with this Fabian group.
Yeah.
And he actually departed. When he realized what it was about,
Right.
he resigned from the group. Now, in the 1930s, there was a few members, Eddie.
Okay.
About 6,500 members in the U.S. in the 1930s. Now, think of that in the 30s. A social group, a group that big, 6,500 or more.
Uh-huh.
And another guy was George Bernard Shaw, the playwright. from But he was a man of influence. That's what I'm talking about. People of influence, and in his writings, and this is public. He wrote in his writings, one of the things he said, well, they're just people in our society that we need to exterminate. That's what he said. And in addition to that, he went on to say, well, look, we have the IRS,
Right.
okay, but we need another consortium of the government that when you reach a certain age, you have to present yourself to this group and convince them that you still have purpose.
That's
Back to
Logan.
Soylent Green again.
That's Logan's Run. When the crystal in your hand starts blinking, it's time to go.
Time to go.
Time to
go. And it is crazy. But here is this Fabian Society that has been in the underpinnings of people's minds with an underlying motive of creating socialism in America.
All right, I need to stop you because we need
Yeah,
to
I know.
take
We
a
need
break.
to take a break, and I got 2 more hours worth of stuff, but we'll do it next month again. So
All right. Well, I got questions too. I'm talking to Tom Young of First Consultants. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
well, we're on another break, folks. We'll be back shortly.
Logan's Run.
Logan's Run.
Your life was perfect until your 30th birthday.
Oh yeah,
And on your
yeah.
30th birthday, that red crystal in your hand started blinking, and you went, what did they call it? You went to carousel. You go in a big room and float up in the air and explode. And at the end, they escape, and I remember this. Do you remember the old big-time actor, Peter Ustinov? Peter Ustinov is this crazy old hermit that escaped outside of the town and lives in the ruins, and it's him and like 400 cats. But I remember at the end, Peter Ustinov had a little cameo at the end of Logan's Run. It's perfect. When you're 30, gotta go. How much time till we come back?
About a minute.
Okay.
These chairs are uncomfortable. Tell
No,
Mark.
my back is not happy right now. If I don't get up and stretch
Well, I mean, I like this setup. At least we have a table, you know.
to be able to sit. Okay. And are there going to be spots before the top of the hour ID, or okay? So you're going to have
Where do we got it? Where do we got to cut?
yeah.
Minute out or to the
Keep
end?
us informed, like 2 minutes, 1 minute. Boom. The crystal in your hand starts glowing.
I have to watch that movie whenever I get home now.
Dude, there was a whole series. I'm just old enough to remember them, but I've gone back and watched them. Planet of the Apes. That's what it's about.
This stuff that's happening right now,
Soylent
they've made
Green.
movies about it for years. I mean, this stuff's been predicted.
Andromeda strain. Everybody gets a virus and their blood turns to dust. But Silent Running was the Bruce Dern movie.
10 seconds. Go.
A little bit of time left here. It's Teleforum. Tom Young, first hour, has been my guest. Tom Young of First Consultants. Is there anything you want to get squeezed in? Because I've been watching you with your notes. You're not half through your notes.
No, I'm just.
You got to come back and we do this more, yeah?
Oh, we'll
Okay.
continue the story next month when we
Okay.
come back. So we'll be back again. I just think that it's so important, folks, to really stand up. Remember what I said. personal growth. Growth is not optional. You either decide to grow you, or the world will grow you into what they want you to be. They will use you and take your money and render you an acceptable level of mediocrity. They will make sure you stay stuck. And that's so important. You need to come and see me.
That's a worker bee.
You
It's
get
just a drone worker bee. Is what you're
absolutely.
describing.
You know, I have a summit. I've got to promote the summit. You need to contact my office. You need to send me your email address. Our email at the office is thomasyoung@1stconsultantsinc.com. That's thomasyoung@1stconsultantsinc.com.
Is there an H in Thomas?
THOMAS. THOMASYOUNG, never get old. And at firstconsultantsinc.com. And you need to send me your email address so that you will get your opportunity for a free ticket. Remember I said free to the Summit of Success. In my 45 years of doing what I do, I have realized that people that have been clients, and I have hundreds of clients that I've worked with in 45 years, what I have found is the dozens that have reached real levels of joy, happiness, success in their life that they were happy with, it was because of personal growth. So without personal growth, you're going to be like the flea in the jar. You know, you put a lid on a mason jar and the fleas bump the lid, and then you take the lid off and they don't jump any higher because they beat their brains on the lid and they have been trained not to jump any higher. So we have some great speakers. Dana Derricks, millionaire coach. He coaches people how to make millions of dollars. Tammy Brandon, her coach is about finding your unique ability. Guy Harris, we're going to talk about personality assessment. Very special guy. I'm going to talk about financial success by avoiding losses, not chasing rates of return. And we have a video called The Wicked, Wicked Game that will put it all together in perspective for you. So you need to let me know you want to come.
When is it?
It is going to be May 4th is the date that we have right now.
So coming up in like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got a lot more stuff on the book. But you can catch me again at noon. I will be back on at noon today, live on Facebook in the Family Money Farm group. So you want to find the group, you want to join it, and become one of the people that are hearing the message, because we're not selling anything. We're just making sure that people get educated with real knowledge, verifiable, mathematically provable knowledge, so you know what you're looking at, and there's proof. Eddie?
Is that all it takes to get people to say, okay, I'm willing to get educated?
It bothers
like
me to
it's
death
simpler than people treat it.
I've always believed, why aren't they lined up outside my door? If they knew what I do, you go to my website, firstconsultantsinc.com, 1stconsultantsinc.com, and there's testimonials. There must be 20 plus testimonials, plus video testimonials of people that I've worked with. Mm-hmm. Go listen and read what they say. Go listen to what they say and read the little vignettes.
All right. The World Bank stuff, hang on to that. Next time you're here, I want to talk to you about that.
World Bank, absolutely. I'll have more information when I come back.
All right.
You want to go to frankspeech.com, frankspeech.com, and listen to what's going on over there.
I'm going to.
frankspeech.com.
I love when you come in. I get educated. It gives me stuff and we get to talk about old, goofy, weird movies, too. Tom Young, been my guest for the first hour. Tom Young of First Consultants. Don't forget about the summit coming up on May 4th. Teleforum continues after news. It's AM 1230 WBVP, AM 1460 WMBA, and 99.3 FM presented by St. Barnabas. Very nice.
All right, folks. Hey, we'll see you on here at noon. God bless.